The movie starts with an officer named Sam, who is moving in his boat across the sea to check on the island he lives on and supervises as the head of the local police station. Sam notices that the house of one of the families has been completely quiet for a long time, so he decides to go over and check on them. He feels uneasy when he finds the door open, so he steps inside, calling out to them while searching the rooms. Sam is horrified when he finds them all dead in their rooms, already in a state of decomposition to the point where he can't stand the smell and leaves the house immediately. 3 years pass, and a young woman named Samantha is now traveling to the same island. She arrives at the island's shore and notices that people there treat her with a cold demeanor. She meets a young man named Michael, who tells her that he'll be the one taking her to the island. Michael takes her in the boat to her grandfather's house, and Samantha notices that he is mysterious and doesn't try to start a conversation with her. When they arrive, he doesn't even think of helping her with her bags, which are so heavy that she ends up dropping them. As they arrive at the house, Samantha finds it unorganized, and Michael tells her that her grandparents passed away in this house and that no one has entered it since. He adds that the company will come to connect the internet after 3 weeks and teaches her how to use the boat if she wants to go back to the shore, advising her to keep the fuel tank at least half full. He warns her not to go out at night, mentioning that they don't want any incidents involving missing tourists on the island. Samantha feels annoyed by his implication that she's an outsider and tells him that she's not a stranger, as she knows the island well. When she asks him for a place to buy food, Michael strangely refuses to tell her and walks away. Samantha goes inside to check out the house and organizes her clothes in the closet, where she finds an old box of her grandparents' photos. She looks through them and takes 2 of the photos, sticking them on the fridge, only to find that it's completely empty of any food. To keep herself entertained, she plays tennis, blasts music, and dances around, but she still feels bored and lonely. She leaves the house to try to pick up any phone signal, and finally, she's able to call her father, leaving him a message to let him know she made it to the island. She tells him the place is beautiful and hopes he will change his mind and come live with her there, away from the noisy city. Afterward, Samantha takes her boat and heads to the island's shops. She goes to the supermarket and buys all the food she needs. When she comes out, she finds a strange man standing by her boat, asking if she's the new girl who just arrived in the village. Samantha feels annoyed by his attitude and tells him she's not new, and that the house belongs to her grandparents, which means she's a resident of the island. The man introduces himself as Mort, and says he's a specialist in fixing any issues with boats and yachts, giving her his card in case she needs his help at any time. Then, Samantha takes her boat again to return home, and on her way, she notices a woman standing on the shore, intensely watching her. However, Samantha doesn't pay attention and continues until she reaches the house. She spends an enjoyable time admiring the surrounding nature. That night, Samantha wakes up to strange knocking sounds outside the house. She's startled and gets up, terrified, to figure out the source of the noise. She discovers that the storage door was the cause since it wasn't properly closed. On her way back to the house, she notices a boat in the middle of the sea right in front of her home. When she points her flashlight toward the boat, she can't make out the person inside. But when the person realizes that Samantha spotted him, he quickly moves away from her house, causing Samantha to feel frightened. She locks herself inside the house. The next day, Samantha decides to explore the house more and finds a wolf-shaped necklace, which she hangs in the library. Just then, she hears a boat approaching her house, so she goes outside to check what's happening. She finds Officer Sam, who introduces himself and has come to welcome her. Samantha learns that he was the one who discovered her grandparents' death, and he tells her that their passing was difficult for the whole island, as they had lived there for 65 years and were among the oldest residents. Samantha responds that she and her father had lived with them during her childhood, but due to a dispute between her father and grandfather, they had to leave the house and move to the city. However, she decided to return to live in the house where she was raised. Samantha tells Sam about the boat she saw the previous night and mentions that she couldn't make out who was in it. Sam reassures her, saying they were likely just fishermen. Later, Samantha leaves her room and is startled to see Michael standing in front of her door. She asks why he's there, and he explains that he was waiting because he knocked but no one answered, so he came to check on her. Samantha thanks him and asks for his number in case she needs to contact him, but Michael refuses to give it to her, saying she'll find him when she needs him. Then he leaves, furthering Samantha's curiosity about his strange behavior. Samantha heads out again, searching for a network signal. She finally manages to get a signal and is shocked to see a message on her phone from an unknown number saying, "I see you, and I'm watching you." Samantha is terrified and rushes back to the house. That night, Samantha feels movement outside her home. This time, she's even more scared than the previous night, and she sees the same boat in the same place. However, this time, she gathers her courage and calls out to the people on the boat. But as soon as they realize she's there, they quickly move away. As Samantha returns to the house, she notices a shadow moving inside. She grabs a flashlight and searches everywhere but finds no trace of the person, only an open kitchen window. The night is tough for Samantha, and these aren't the only strange events she experiences. The next day, she wakes up to find her boat has mysteriously moved to the middle of the sea, and she also finds a gift in front of her house. When she opens it, it's a box of soil filled with worms, and at its center is a photo she had previously hung on the fridge. She's horrified and rushes back into the house. Samantha is now certain that she's not imagining things and that there truly was an intruder in her home. She grabs the gun she found on the boat and rushes out to find a signal so she can call the police. Officer Sam arrives to hear her out, but when she explains what happened, he doesn't believe her and asks if she has any proof or even the box with the picture. She tells him that as soon as she went to call the police and returned, everything had disappeared. Sam suggests that she might just be exhausted from adjusting to a new place, and he tells her she could be imagining things. He advises her to get some rest, and Samantha tries to convince herself that Sam might be right. So, Samantha leaves the house and heads to the island to shop and take a walk. While she's heading back home, her boat breaks down in the middle of the sea, so she's forced to use the oar until she makes it back. During this time, she notices the same woman who had been watching her from the shore. Samantha calls out to her and asks if she needs any help, but the woman doesn't respond and keeps walking. Samantha follows her, trying to find out who she is, but the woman disappears completely, leaving Samantha lost in the forest, not knowing her way back. Suddenly, Mort appears in front of her and asks what she's doing in the forest. She tells him she saw a woman watching her. Mort then informs her that the woman's name is Hunter, and that she's mute, which is why she acts strangely and doesn't like making friends. Samantha asks him why he was following her, and he explains that he saw her entering the forest and felt she might be in trouble, so he followed her to offer help. Samantha tells him that her boat broke down and she needs to fix it. Mort goes with her back that the boat isn't actually broken, but has run out of gas. Samantha is surprised, as she'd recently filled it with gas. Mort suggests that she put the groceries she bought from the supermarket in the fridge before the meat goes bad, and he tells her that he'll get gas for the boat in the meantime. Samantha replies that she's vegetarian and doesn't eat meat, to which Mort responds that it suits her to be a vegetarian because she looks like a rabbit. At night, Samantha finds it hard to sleep due to fear. The next day, she remembers the wolf pendant she hung in the library and feels uneasy about it, so she quickly takes it and throws it into the sea. Right then, she finds a new gift in front of her house. When she goes to open it, she's shocked to find a dead rabbit inside. She immediately calls Sam, and when he arrives, she hands him the box and shows him what's inside. She explains to him that she hadn't been imagining things the first time she reported it, and that the box she has now is proof of it. However, Sam still doesn't believe her, suggesting that perhaps a kid from the island is playing a prank to scare her. Samantha feels frustrated by Sam's reactions and decides she's going to handle things on her own. So, Samantha takes the gun that was in the boat and hides it in her clothes. She calls Mort and tells him that she needs him to fix her boat. When Mort arrives, Samantha talks to him and asks why he did that to the rabbit. He's surprised by her question and asks what she's talking about. She tells him that she knows he's the one trying to scare her because he's the only one who talked to her about the rabbits. Mort denies it but quickly approaches her and says he can't talk right now. He tells her if she wants to understand what's going on, she should meet him at night, and he gives her the time and place. Later, Samantha goes shopping on the island, and during this time, she gets a message from the same unknown number telling her to leave immediately. Samantha gets scared and rushes back home. That night, she hears the sound of the boat again, so she goes out this time with the gun in hand, determined to take care of whoever is on the boat. But she's surprised when Hunter comes to visit her. Hunter enters the house with Samantha and starts communicating with her by writing. She tells Samantha that she should leave the island because she's in danger, and the islanders won't stop until they kill her. She begs her to leave and run away quickly. Samantha is confused by what Hunter says, wondering why the islanders would want to kill her. However, Samantha replies that she won't run away because the house is hers, and she's a resident of the island, not just a guest. As soon as Samantha turns off the tea kettle and turns to speak with Hunter again, she finds that Hunter has disappeared. Samantha goes outside to search for her and discovers that Hunter has taken her boat and left. Meanwhile, Mort is waiting for Samantha at the agreed location. When she's late, he starts walking around looking for her. Suddenly, an unknown person appears behind him and strangles him to death. The next morning, Samantha wakes up and begins searching the house for anything that might help her understand what's going on. She discovers that Hunter left her a picture with the cake she brought her yesterday. The picture shows two people wearing wolf masks standing in front of her house. Samantha gets scared and leaves the house to search the island for anything that might help her. She sees a house on the island with the same wolf mask hanging on it. At that moment, Samantha becomes certain that Hunter's words were true, and the islanders want to get rid of her. However, Samantha decides that she's stronger than running away out of fear. She goes to get a Christmas tree and removes the bells from it to make an alarm system that will warn her if anyone enters her house. That night, someone tries to break into her house. As soon as the person enters, Samantha hears the bell and quickly gets up, grabs her weapon, and threatens the intruder. When the person turns around, she realizes it's Michael. She orders him to drop his weapon and lie on the ground with his hands behind his back. But when Samantha gets closer, Michael manages to knock her down and tries to attack her. Samantha defends herself and shoots him in the leg. Michael runs out of the house and jumps into the water, but Samantha doesn't give up. She follows him outside and sees him coming out onto the shore. She continues walking after him with the gun in hand and asks him why he's trying to kill her. Michael decides to attack her again, but Samantha is faster and is able to finish him off. Samantha goes back and sits in front of her house, shocked by what she has done, until morning. Sam arrives and apologizes to her for not believing her earlier. He tells her they found personal photos of her and pieces of her clothes in Michael's house. He says Michael was obsessed with her. But Samantha tells him that it's bigger than just an obsession. There's a dangerous gang on the island. Sam promises to investigate, and he says he's sure she'll return to the city after what she's seen on the island. However, Samantha surprises him when she says she's not leaving the island because this is her place. A month passes, and Samantha has adapted more to island life. The residents have started to accept her, greeting her and talking to her. One day, Samantha hears the alarm bell and realizes someone has broken into her house again. But this time, she's not scared. She wakes up, grabs her rifle, and bravely heads out to confront the intruder. The next morning, we see Samantha with blood on her face and clothes, standing in front of the shore, waiting for Sam. We learn that she killed the person who tried to break into her house. But this time, she seems calm and unaffected, as if she's gotten used to killing. That's the end of today's movie. If you liked today's film, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.